Just when it looked like United had reeled in their biggest catch of the season yet, we let Grimsby off the hook with a 96-minute penalty rebound after a fishy free kick in the build-up, meaning the U's were forced to leave Blundell Park with the spoils shared. Hello then, and welcome along to this week's review show, where we'll be looking back over that 1-1 draw with Grimsby. My name is Jules. It's a pleasure to be back on the pod after a little time away, and it's so nearly the perfect welcome back for me, but someone who hasn't had any time away from the pod is a man I've been nicknaming the controversial kid, Matt Caspell. I made this number 6 in a row for you, mate. People must be sick and tired.
6 in a row. Oh, to be honest, I've just hit a rhythm with it now. I just pod it every other day, it feels like, which is great.
Just an assumption that you're going to be on here talking about Neil Harris twice a week.
We just get such great feedback as well, specifically on some of the comments that are made. So it's extremely rewarding to be back with you, mate. Great intro, by the way.
Thanks, mate.
Fish.
Cheers.
Who'd have thought?
Who'd have thought, right?
Sometimes it's just right there in front of your face, isn't it?
Because similar to Luton's away end, no one ever talks about fish in relation to Grimsby Town. So I thought I would be the first person.
That's it. Yeah. I've never heard that before.
No one ever mentions it
before. Yeah.
I was making myself laugh when I was away because it's funny with when there's a bit of controversy usually on like some sort of media platform. Normally what they do is take the person out of the spotlight and put them in the background.
Been thrust back in, yeah.
We've shoved you in it.
Shove me in. Just keep me on air. That's it.
Great.
Just smile and nod and just carry on.
Yeah.
Obviously, we love all our listeners, whether coconut tier or not.
That's the end of that. I'm just going to stop you there.
Right, but I've got this massive piece of paper I want to read. No, let's go. Come on, let's get.
Anyway, let's talk about Grimsby Town. We had a cracking day out yesterday, didn't we, me and you? Let's start with just like morning reflections. Like first thing, wake up this morning. How did it sit with you, both as a result and performance?
Well, mate, let's cover the day. I mean, the day was great, right? We had a really just good day out. Surprisingly sunny. Different states of dress at one point. I had a jacket, then I didn't have a jacket. That had all unfolded by about midday.
You'd lost your jacket after your first beer, which was
no alcohol. Yeah, I was going to say no alcohol involved because one doesn't really count. But yeah, no, exceptionally. I mean, anyone who has known me a long time knows that I've got huge amount of previous form for losing jackets. Up to and including years ago at an Oxford away. I think it was like unseasonably warm in like February or something. And I had taken a jacket with me. And I think might have had 1 or 2 beers before this. I think in like a fit of like, basically I hate having extra stuff on me. So if I have a jacket and it's unnecessary, it does tax me quite a lot. I think at this Oxford away, I threw my jacket away, I think. I actually just threw it away because I was so annoyed. I was so annoyed at myself for wearing a jacket in like 16-degree weather that I just chucked it. So, and we've definitely had 1 or 2 seasons before I've lost like 3 or 4. Yeah. So if anyone
knows, got to go to charity shops now.
Anyone knows any good charity shops, or like we might have to be like, when you send your kids to primary school, might have to write my name and phone number in all my jackets, and or also get someone to get my wife to maybe sew them in, or I could sew them in. Sorry, in this modern era where men also do sewing, I could sew them into my other layer so that I literally can't take my jacket off, so I can't lose it. So, that was the start of the day, and then it was just a really nice. Grimsby's proper, isn't it?
It's great.
Like a real town. I love a football stadium that's hemmed into a housing estate, if you know what I mean. It's just
it's definitely one of the best. I think the independent writer Daniel Story, who did the 92 last year as a sort of feature throughout the season, I think he ranked it number 1 in the 92.
I could buy that.
I buy it massively. Yeah, it's such a good ground. Oh, should we talk about the food as well? Briefly.
Yeah, I was going to talk about the food. That was coming next. The food was, to be honest, the ground is amazing. I mean, I've always enjoyed Blundell Park. I've had a lot of visits up there, sort of the good, bad, and indifferent. Their floodlights are amazing as well.
Brilliant.
Real
contender.
Yeah. No, I think they're just really, I think they're quite, sort of
proper unique.
They are unique.
Yeah.
I think they're really quite special as well. Remind me a bit of Vetch Field, who I was saying yesterday, showing my age.
Showing your age.
Showing my age, yeah. The food was on another level. Anyone who didn't get the food, it seemed like it was done by half time, which is also a sort of statement how good I guess the food was. The food was just exceptional.
Yeah, definitely up there with the best I've ever had in the football ground. Like we were talking, I mean, Kiddie's Pies is obviously the obvious answer.
Yeah,
but
the last time we went to Kiddie, I was so hungover that I'd thrown up 3 times on approach to the game, including once on the actual exterior of the away end. So I just had to go and look at the food. I couldn't. There was no food being consumed that day. I think Richard Money went man and put Luke Berry on the left wing that day as well.
And that made you sick for the fourth time.
That was the fourth time I threw up as well. But yeah, no, we were saying I think second to Kidderminster only for the quality of that cuisine. It just felt quite homemade. It felt quite authentic.
Do you know what else is quite homemade and authentic?
Oh, go on. They didn't have any
skepasti at the Old Spring.
They didn't have any skepastis, but I knew this would take us there.
That was my one note on the food, Grimsby Town. If you're listening, no skepastis.
No skepasti, no party. That's
it. Exactly. But the Old Spring does have some, obviously, our wonderful sponsors this year. You can go and get yourself a Matchday Meal Deal, £15 for skepasti or fish and chips or a burger and any beer, which is great. Obviously, you've got the happy hour 6 till 7 as well, which we'll be enjoying one of the coming weeks. We'll do another little meet up there. We just need to figure out our own diaries, but obviously do head down to the Old Spring. You can get 10% off any time with a season ticket or an upcoming match ticket, so make the most of all of that. But anyway, then back to the game. I just wanted to also make a little point on, we were in a different bit of the away end this time round,
which you described as like a Trivial Pursuit segment.
That's like a pie from the Trivial Pursuit.
Like a pie, which I liked. Yeah, I was there for that. I think that was quite nice. It was nice. It's nice when you're in away end, to be honest, and you're kind of packed in. I think it helped with the atmosphere a bit. The atmosphere I thought was really good coming out of that.
I was going to make that point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was going to make that point that, like, I think maybe I've been a bit cynical of like our home atmosphere in recent years, maybe not being up to. Maybe this is just sort of rose tinted glasses, like thinking back to when you're younger and stuff. But I've sort of sometimes found it a bit flatter. But that away end yesterday was quality. Like the whole game, I thought it was really, really loud. You made a good point after the game that kind of soured it a bit for me. It was like, do you remember how windy it was? Like no one would have heard it beyond the away end.
I just feel like anyone in that Grimsby home end is just like, what? Noise. I see them moving. I can hear that sort of new. We've got like a new continental drumming style, is how I describe it. Which
it's quite woke, isn't it?
Felt quite peppy. I thought it was all right. Actually, I was okay with it. Anything to get the atmosphere going. But like fair play. I mean, it's most of the younger crew, I guess, back in the middle. They do get a bit of stick from certainly me sometimes anyway. But yeah, no, they really went at it.
And a cracking following, you got to say. What was it, 550 odd or something like that?
So 550, 600. Yeah, no, really good. I don't actually remember us travelling in that number up to Grimsby. We had a bit of a laugh and we said that FA Trophy semi-final. We're like, oh, we must have taken like 800 to that because the atmosphere there was quite good. But you look back at that, actually, it's probably about 300 people.
350, yeah.
just felt massive at the time, if you know what I mean. So yeah, no, to be honest, I mean, football aside, this is one of those really nice away days, I think, where we'll get onto the football in a bit, but the football and the day were all good and all quite complementary to each other, if you know what I mean. It wasn't like, we often whine a little bit about how the day is great, but the football can be quite, the least entertaining part of the day, weirdly, despite being kind of the focal point and the axis of the day. It felt like the football match itself was, result aside, obviously a bit very deflating at the end, but it's just a really absorbing, like entertaining football match, right? I just felt even for a neutral, you would go out there and think like, oh, this is like actually, a bit of needle, a bit of spice, could have been some red cards, some off the ball stuff, managers getting booked, people jumping into challenges, a couple of goals, penalty, bit of controversy here and there, like had a little bit of everything.
It's properly engaging, wasn't it, throughout? Wasn't it?
I thought so. I mean, for us, obviously, there's the jeopardy of having a 1-0 lead for the duration of time that we did as well, which always puts you on the edge of your seat, and time seems to move a bit funny sometimes when you defended a 1-0 lead. But I think that's probably, hopefully, a feeling anyway we're going to have to get used to this season, because better defending 1-0 leads than being 2-3-0 down, which is how that game could have gone in an alternate universe. So
definitely. No, I agree with all of that. And it was also like, especially in the last 20 minutes of the game, it was so heated, but in such a, I don't know, you got, like, as we said, the away atmosphere good throughout, but then also like home fans getting up at the end as well, and then the controversy right at the end, obviously deflating for us. But like you say, I think it's worth noting it as a football match. It was like worth the entrance fee, wasn't it? But from our perspective, to go back, we've covered coats, we've covered skepastis, we've covered.
Just trying to avoid talking about the football as much as possible. Yeah.
How are you feeling about the result and performance? I guess it's two separate things this morning.
The result is fine. Like, again, I think we said before the game, George obviously said with a huge amount of prescience before the game, George basically predicted the outcome. Absolutely nailed it.
Nailed it.
Like, we would score reasonably early. and then we'd be pegged back and be disappointed to draw 1-1. I was like, fair enough, George. That's pretty sharp. He did also call Adam Mayor Dave Mayor, so we've just got to. There's checks and balances here, if you know what I mean. Like, doesn't know the names of our own players, but can predict what's going to happen.
Yeah, we had a question in asking if he knows the lottery numbers, and we'll have to get back to you on that because
we want them. Frankly, we want the money. The coconut tier millions are only going to see us so far, aren't they? So, no, mate. I mean, result really happy with it. Again, it's one of those things, bit of a straw man. But if you flip the trajectory of that game on its head, and we've gone 1-0 down, and then we get a 96th minute penalty and bundle it in on the rebound. You'd be leaving there absolutely delighted and saying that we've just, we've just nabbed a point off a promotion-y playoff contender. Performance was really good. I thought it was one of our best performances of the season, to be honest. I was thinking about it earlier and just feel like it's the first time, actually, I think this season we've played the full 90 minutes well, if you know what I mean. I think in other games, we've obviously had more positive results. We've had like spells, good moments, even good halves, but we haven't yet until Grimsby put together for me a full 90-minute performance. So that for me was really pleasing. I thought defensively we were superb, to be honest. I was saying it to you all game, but it's just felt like maybe Watts and Morrison have both had their best game of the season, both at the same time as well. They were winning everything back there, defending as a unit.
The amount of times we pushed them back was, especially second half,
really stifled Grimsby. I mean, first half they had nothing. They were just barely had a foothold in the game at all. Felt like all they had, particularly first half, was just sideways, backwards, sideways, and then send it long. We made the joke in the way, and they look like us at home, sort of running out of ideas and then maybe lacking a little bit of creativity. So I think, to be honest, the way we approached the game, the way we set up, some personnel changes for us as well. Some controversial ones maybe as well. Sitting Bennett down for Gibbons is something we spoke about in the preview pod, that you might want someone with Gibbons' kind of character, I guess. That might have overflowed slightly late in the game, which I know we'll talk about later. But then also to drop Job or rest Job, I guess, in exchange for Morrison. Morrison coming back off a pretty serious and strange injury. But Morrison's gone and had a great game. Gibbons, to be honest, his aggression did contribute really well to our performance, I think. Like, he put himself about, which is kind of what you expect from him as well. And then to start Mayor, I guess, is also an interesting shout. He's a guy who doesn't have many Football League starts, certainly on his slate. And for me, he was absolutely our man of the match, probably our best player. He looked a cut above, to be honest. He just looked really technically strong. He put in a huge amount of work, I think, just really left it all out there. Got his goal, took his goal really well. So, honestly, in performance terms, even if you ignore the result, I thought there was a huge amount to be excited about there, to be optimistic about. I mean, I feel like we kind of needed that after the last few weeks, because even some of these positive home results have been paired with quite, middling performances, you might say. So, Newport was a little bit, even though it was a win, it left you a bit flat, maybe. Harrogate, obviously, a bit of concern around that as well. So it's like this, it's such a shame the way the game ended, because if the game, if things go slightly differently for you there at the end in a couple of situations, then the game ends slightly differently, and you've taken a deserved 1-0 win. No word of a smash and grab kind of thing here. It would have been a totally, in my opinion, deserved 3 points on the road. So it's great for us, George. I mean, great for George's prediction, but to leave there disappointed with a point, I think is a real positive for us.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'll give you a couple of numbers here as well. I mean, Daniel actually posted on X asking us, is that the best performance of the season so far, as the first part of his question, which obviously I think you've answered there, and I completely agree with all your points. That first half, we restricted them to 0.9 XG off 63% possession, which I think is quite a good illustration of how little they did with the ball and how well we defended against them, and compared to our 0.47, 8 shots, 3 on target, obviously the goal as well as part of that. And then more broadly, just to talk about Grimsby for a second, who, look, I don't think yesterday maybe they didn't put in their best performance of the season, but they're coming off beating pre-season title favourites MK 3-2, 3-0 up in that game as well, which is obviously a very eye-catching performance. But if you just look at some of the stats on FOTMob, they're the second highest rated team in the whole division. By the way, interestingly, Oldham are third on that, which is an interesting
I
thing.
rate them. I rate them.
Yeah.
I think I'm one of the few who thought Oldham are actually decent. And obviously, we're still early days, so like, give it time.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
mean,
no, I mean, Grimsby, to be fair, by the numbers, obviously, and the
yeah.
league table itself are one of the strongest teams in the division. So
Well, yeah, it looked like second most goals per match, second most possession across the whole league, most cumulative XG in the whole division, second most shots on target per match, the most big chances. Um, all the data says they're really good, and I mean, I wouldn't, I'd go further than say we matched them. I think we were better than them for the majority of it, and I think a really good point you've just made there to answer Daniel's question about the best performance for United of the season so far is the 90-minute fact, which you take 1 minute, one clumsy challenge from a striker defending a box, young striker panicking. We're going to come on and talk about it, but if you take that 1 second away, it's a brilliant away performance and a clean sheet. We're going to talk about that incident in a second, but I want to start at the end because obviously it won't surprise you to know that the most amount of questions we got were on the penalty and that incident and how the game ended, which obviously is a thing that such a sucker punch, isn't it? It's what you take away from it. It looked like we were heading for the perfect away day. The incident itself, we're going to talk about when we go through the game chronologically. But what was your like emotion to it? Like, how gutted is it were you to see that go in? You made a good point. That's like, no matter how old I'll get, and I'll see that another 50 times, that feeling will never get any better of seeing an opposition team score a 96 minute.
yeah, I was just saying to you after the game walking out, I just like, how many more times in my life am I going to have to witness that sort of thing happening? If you know, what I mean, will it be 50? Could be 100. Obviously, a big question about how long am I going to live. Basically,
it's so horrible. As a feeling, it's so uniquely horrible because you're so helpless as well to do anything about it.
It's definitely going to happen again, right? I mean, or not, and that's it. yeah, you know what I mean? But that means you're probably dead. So
yeah,
so pick your poison, I guess. Look, it's always disappointing. Yes, we'll talk about the incident.
The second part to Daniel's question is maybe a good place to actually like discuss the sort of ending of the game because he says after a goal like that goes in, how long does it take the panel to clear their heads? I'm nearly an hour in and still fuming. And what's interesting is like obviously it was brutal, but I think everything we just said about the performance still rang so true for me that I wasn't really angry. Like obviously an element of frustration. Of course you're going to be frustrated, but I just thought we did so much so well in the game that I kind of just took it on the chin a little bit. I was like, well, sometimes football's just like that, and that's the thing that happens, and that's how I felt. And that's kind of so. In other circumstances,
we moved on fairly quick. We moved on fairly quick, didn't we? It was like, that's a shame.
Yeah.
And maybe this is the thing when you get, I don't know, when you start to get a bit older, do you get a bit more, I don't know, are you just more relaxed with this stuff, I guess, because it's just like know that it happens in football and that it's probably going to happen to us again at some other point this season. You just hope if and when it does happen to us again, it isn't definitive. Better to do that sort of thing in September than to do it in April or even in May if you have a playoff campaign alive. So yeah, it was a real shame. I mean, angry is not the word, but I don't really do angry anyway, to be honest. It's only a game, isn't it? It's just football. So I wasn't really angry. And to be honest, by the time we got to the station, it's about a 20-minute walk, and we realised there's no shop at the station, but there is a pub. We could get 2 carry-out pints in plastic glasses and drink them on the train. That was it, right? That's like,
sorted,
basically.
Yeah, done.
Obviously raging about losing my jacket, but that's all me. Look, as you said, if we had not played very well, shithouse the goal, and then we've been battered, and then that had happened, and Apre's also got injured, you might have a slightly different mindset. You might be like, oh, we really got lucky to even get a point there. We were clinging on, they deserved it, all of this, but it really wasn't like that, as you say. It was really, I felt still quite positive about the whole performance and thing. And I think if we play like that consistently all season, we'll be we'll be in the top half of the table, not in the bottom half of the table. Yeah, and League Two is that division. If you're in the top half of the table, you're close to the playoffs, basically. Yeah. You're not far away. So the same thing I said on the preview pod. Obviously, everyone, these pods are blurring into one. But there's 2 different types of mid-table season, right? There's like a mid-table season where you finish like 8th, 9th, 10th, just outside the playoffs. Maybe even the final day of the season, you go in and you're like, oh, we need a few snookers, we need 2 points, and they have to concede that, whatever. It gets a bit convoluted, but you're there, you're in amongst it. Or there's a mid-table season where you finish 15th or 16th, and it's truly dire, where you just have nothing to really latch onto. 1 or 2 good away moments, maybe the odd like a late home winner somewhere, and that's it. And you have nothing to really feel optimistic about. I think if we play like that as we do at Grimsby, I think the minimum is that we're like high, top half of the table, 8, 9, 10. But maybe looked a lot more like a playoff contending team, I thought.
Yeah. I agree. I think there's before we just come onto the game itself and go through the moments. I just also thought it's worth mentioning that I think a few people. I don't think this is a place for us now to have a conversation about Harris in any respect, specifically because we're probably. I think it surprised me how many of our listeners actually criticised us in the past couple of weeks for being too positive about, which is
What's going on?
it's a totally new world for us.
Yeah.
But I think there is this slight difference in how much people like or back Harris. Maybe back is harsh, but like for sure.
Yeah.
And an ending to a game like that, I can imagine there's going to be a couple of people who might have that predisposition, which is totally fair as well. It's not, no one's got, you don't have to, you're not being forced to like a football manager, and it's not like he's blown us away for sure. But I just felt like he didn't really do much wrong yesterday, and specifically with like subbing a defender on at the end. And there was this great point that an account called Steeler made on the message board, which is, I'll just read it out. He says, to give some context to the criticism of Harris's tactics for seeing games out. In his time in charge, he's added an extra defender late on in 11 games, and we've seen the game out 9 times. Only today, and Oxford away, which was on Boxing Day in his first spell, have we conceded late on. Ironically, the one time he didn't make the defensive change was away at Barnsley last year, where we conceded a late equaliser. In that game, he also made an attacking sub, taking Stokes off and bringing on Lindeloo with 10 minutes to go, which is interesting. And like I say, I don't think this is now is the moment to talk about Harris, but more about the game itself. Like I say, I think the reason I can feel quite sort of sanguine about it. I've used that word a couple of times this year.
You love it, mate.
I love that
Someone
word.
gave you a thesaurus for your birthday in summer, and you just latched onto sanguine.
I just don't think we did that much wrong, and I don't think Harris did much wrong, and it's just like one of those things that happened. That is the way I'm looking at the game. Maybe I'm being too lenient. What do you think?
I think there is a weird undercurrent section of fan base that is really ready to jump on Harris after everything. So it's very clear now that if we don't win any game, someone somewhere is going to engineer or find a way to blame Harris. And I think some of the criticism he's got last few weeks, totally valid, like changes against Oldham, very destabilizing.
Definitely.
For me, it's how we chase games. I actually don't really like the style that we chase the games. I think is not really, it just isn't working. Like, he needs to review that policy of like triple change, quad change or whatever, and ending up with like a 3-1-6, whatever adds up to 10. Do you know what I mean? Which is how it felt against Oldham, because it's like, well, it just doesn't work. It's kitchen sink, but we don't have a target man, so we don't really have anyone to latch onto. You'd be better off pushing like Job or Morrison or something up actually to go and join the strikers and have a target and then work off that instead. So I think some of the historic criticism about subs and changes is valid and fair. I think yesterday is like, I wouldn't call it like tactical masterclass, but I just feel like we didn't put a foot wrong. The substitution that's being talked about is to bring Job on for Mayor in the 90th minute at the end of the game. It's totally different. Like the last 5-6 minutes of the game is like, fine, soak everything up. You just got to have big lads on the pitch, basically, who are going to break up play, win headers, disrupt stuff, and just be fresh, basically. Like, I understand if we'd made that change on 75 or 78 and you're like, what's he doing? Like, he's just completely conceded the idea that we're going to have any sort of possession or go forward at all. Mayor was also totally done. He had brilliant game, but he was just done. Like, a few of them were a little bit out on their feet. Totally justified. Like, he absolutely ran his socks off. So this specifically, I don't think we can lay at Harris's door. I mean, also we'll talk about the incident in a minute, but this actually really is like an individual mistake that has led to, a bad situation for us. So it's like, no one would be talking about that sub or that back five situation if that incident doesn't happen. And even if we, the penalty saved and then hooked away, I'm not sure it's going to get a lot of airtime, if that makes sense. So it's like, this time I just don't think it's fair or justified.
Yeah.
And I do think people are sort of ready to jump on him. And I think you're right. It sort of kind of leads back to like, he's a bit of a spiky manager, I guess is how you might describe it. Like, he's not necessarily as much of a people pleaser as some of our previous managers. He can be a bit more direct. I think all that could be quite positive, to be honest, as long as it's used the right way. But yeah, it does feel like there's a bit of a. I don't think people are like actively seeking it out. It feels inevitable now if something goes against us that someone's going to blame Harris basically. And I'm not sure for he's got like everything. He's got to judge these situations on like a game by game basis, right? Sometimes it will be probably more his fault. Sometimes it'll be less his fault. And I don't think this is one that you can really put on his door, basically.
Exactly. Completely agree. Let's go over the game itself. Lineup. Mayor makes his full debut. Morrison, Gibbons in. Bennett, Job and Knight out. Purrington and Panzu made the side. Kachunga notably entirely absent from the squad. The bench has actually looked quite strong with both Kwasi and Lavery on the bench in terms of attacking options. Any other surprises there? I mean, does Catch surprise you? Is that a bit of a message almost?
Obviously, we don't know if something's like gone
Of
on.
course.
Nothing's been referred to in either the pre nor post match. So we don't have information. So it's a bit taxing when these questions aren't asked post match. Because it would be useful to understand, and also it would just be interesting. And obviously, the timing now with Apre also being injured, and this sort of, we'll probably talk about strikers in a minute. We've got a lot of dodgy hamstrings in that unit. I wasn't majorly surprised they changed. I think the Gibbons thing felt quite, it felt quite logical. It had a sort of feeling that was likely to take place. I think the Job Morrison Watts thing is interesting. I mean, Kel Watts I think has been brilliant, and actually like. The thing with a lot of these lineup choices that were made is I think they're all pretty much justified based on the performances we saw. I think I had speculated in the preview we might not have Purrington and we might not have Mpanzu just based on the level of performance in the Oldham home game. I'm not sure Pelly is really hitting the levels that we were expecting still. I think of our, of what was a good performance against Grimsby, I think Pelly was one of the quieter players, and I still think there's a bit of a weird sort of can Don Ball and Pelly actually does that work as a pair? Do they actually work together? So I think there's still some question marks over that. But like nothing I saw in the lineup was surprising. It was nice to look at the bench and think we've got quality here. We've got some really like good options for us here because most people are coming back to fitness. So nothing was a big surprise. I think Kachunga dropping out of the squad is a little bit of a surprise because we don't know if there's like maybe some added context around that.
Yeah, it's interesting when you see them warming up one by one sort of throughout the first half. Sort of forgotten about the bench, and then you see them come out, and it's like, oh, Liam Bennett, oh, Shane Lavery, oh, McLaughlin. Like each one comes out, and you're like, oh, they're all actually good options.
It's a strong bench, yeah.
Bright start to the game, first half, especially first 10. We seem to start games really well, don't we? Really strongly. And then deserved lead on the 31st minute. Great finish from, are we calling him Adam or are we calling him Davy Mayor?
Davy, Danny? I can't remember what he
Davy, Danny, Adam, whatever it was.
Whatever. Davy, Danny, God knows.
Let George decide next time he's on.
Yeah, George can just make another name up.
As part of it, yeah, he played so well, I thought. The whole afternoon he was brilliant. Ryan, friend of the pods, asked, what did Jordan make of Danny/Adam Mayer's first start for the U's? I'll have to leave that to him. But what did you make of it, Caspell?
Just call him the Mayor.
Let's call him Mayor Quimby.
Mayor Quimby, Mayor Grimsby. That's what I was just kept banging on about yesterday. I've obviously had more than one beer at this point. We're way past jacket lost territory. Well, I was really impressed with Mayor, whatever his name is, first name. Super impressed with him. I mean, he's taken his finish really well. Part of a really good counter-attacking move. You made a good point with your screenshot. We've been screenshotting a lot this morning, haven't we? There's like 7 Grimsby players around that. It's like they defend it very weirdly, that the move, because no one seems to really do anything. They're just there, but they're not really involved in the play.
The screenshot is just as Brophy gets to the edge of the box. So it's only like 5 seconds before Mayor has the strike. Mayor's not actually in the shot yet, but we've got 3 players breaking against 7 of theirs. It's such it feels like live. It felt like it was a much more like 3-on-3 type of break, and we found a little bit of space within that. But I mean, I think they'll watch it back and think, bloody hell, have we conceded from that
someone's
position?
Got to do something.
Yeah, someone's got to do something.
Yeah, someone's got to do something here. No, it was a really good move. I mean, to be fair, Kwasi started it off, played into Kai. Kai gets a really good ball to Brophy. Brophy carries it like he does. It's like textbook Brophy, right? Sort of mates it from halfway line to the edge of the box. It's a bit of a weird ball across. I don't really know if he spotted Mayor. I'll give him credit and say he's done it deliberately, but I think that's partly why the Grimsby entire 7 people seem to get swiped out, is that Brophy's kind of poked it on a weird angle that you wouldn't be expecting. It kind of leaves the box. Obviously, Mayor's there. I can't remember really. I feel like it was a split in the away end of people saying shoot and people saying definitely don't shoot, if you know what I mean. It's like one of those moments he's quite far out, but it's a really good controlled finish. Remind me of some of our finishes in that Swindon away game. It's like we seem to be making a bit of a habit now of scoring from, well, so use the data, scoring these like low XG outside the box like opportunities and actually showing a huge amount of composure, because again it'd be very easy, and we have seen more than 100 times Cambridge United players in that situation would send that into the sea or the estuary, depending on their.
That's a whole other argument we had.
That was a whole other argument on the way home. Yeah, that really distracted us from the result, actually. Yeah. Whether it was the sea or the estuary, but apparently it is the estuary. But then I guess if you think a Cambridge player would miss it so badly, it could actually theoretically make it to the sea.
Make it to the sea. Yeah.
That's true. More sea than estuary. No, it's a really good finish. And we deserved it at that point as well. It didn't feel like it was out of the blue. Didn't feel like Grimsby had threatened us at all at this point. It felt like we actually could have taken the lead earlier. I think, again, if you want to be, again, this is about expectations. Like if you do think we're a playoffy promotion contending team, which possibly we could be, you might make the argument that first half we should be going for half time with a 2-goal lead, and it completely changes. It completely changes everything, because it allows for the second half to be slightly different. You probably could be slightly more defensively minded in your in how you've set everything up, if that makes sense. So I'm not actually making that criticism. I just think somebody could. It's a possible thing. And I think it will be thematic for us this season. This idea that, similar to the Harrogate home game, we were just a second goal away from winning that game. Probably Grimsby feel like another goal is enough, based on how well we were defending and operating. So great goal, well deserved. Entire first half, we just completely dominated it, I think. Obviously, second half, momentum shifted slightly.
Yeah, well, the game state sort of dictates that a little bit as well, doesn't it? In terms of naturally what's going to happen. Just quick note on Kai. I thought first half played really well. I mean, he's putting in a lot of good performances. But you mentioned it with the goal there, but it's just a few times, just little moments of quality. Almost his attitude in terms of always looking up, always looking forward. I just thought he was such a threat first half.
Yeah, I think for me, he's probably early couple of games he hit a really high level, and I think last few weeks he's maybe been a bit quieter than you want him to be. But he's always been this kind of player, right? It was definitely more so at League One. He would have when he's good, he's great, and when he's a bit quiet, he can sometimes drift in and out of games. You just don't notice him very much, and it's not exclusive to him. I mean, I would say Brophy. I'm starting to accept some of this narrative lately that actually like his performance levels have maybe not quite been as high.
Maybe not Saturday though. I think in general it's fair, but I actually thought Grimsby, like what you say about the way he was carrying the ball, I think it was a bit more like the way Brophy's played in years gone by, and in fact his finishing was quite erratic, so he's gone back to like an older version of himself.
That's it, he's rebooted. But no, Kai I thought was pretty bright, especially first half. Brophy obviously gets the assist, so irrespective of what you think about his performance, he's gone and got himself another goal involvement, if you know what I mean. It's a proper assist as well, if you know what I mean. He's done a lot of work to create it. To be honest, all round I thought first half we were like solid 7s and 8s across the whole board, set maybe a man apparet.
Well, thank you for that. That's a lovely little lead into the next point.
Should he have scored, by the way? Do we think, looking on the highlights, he's rounded the keeper, he's missed, to be clear, like his finish is 100% going wide. That's cleared. I just wonder if once he'd picked the ball up, he did really well. This is what he does really well. Very dog-like, very Labrador in his approach, nicking the ball and creating these opportunities out of nothing. Should he take another touch? Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like once he's taken the touch and sort of rounded the keeper, I think if he cuts back, comes back the other way, the keeper will be hot dogged and gone. And then he's on his stronger foot, probably got a defender on the line, very similar in a way to the chance he had against Oldham in the second half. But I think you think he will score. If he gets himself in that situation, he's basically shooting at a defender on the line.
I completely agree.
Be able to do it.
Because I think actually keeper, fair play to him, does quite well. Once he's realised that Apre is going to nick the ball, he kind of anticipates smothering the shot quite well, I would say, to give the keeper a touch of credit. But you're right that Apre, maybe just a little bit of guile there to equally anticipate the fact that the keeper's actually not in the worst position for where he's nicked the ball, if you see what I mean. He's not like totally beaten him by rounding him, if you know what I mean. He's not gone. Yeah. He's actually fairly close to him. So you're absolutely right. Like, it's not the hardest chop back and then have a pop on your right foot.
Yeah.
Even if keeper were like to anticipate that and stand up to him, you still got a shot on you. You're still going to get a
Might
shot
win a
away on your
penalty
right
as
foot.
well. Like keeper might wipe you. I mean, again, I think this is one of those situations very easy to say, and you watch the highlights, say, really, just cut.
Obviously, just chop back and pop it top corner.
Cut back and score. That's what I would have done. Yeah, I'd have banged it, mate. He didn't. Obviously, I mean, the disappointment for me is the finish he did create was definitely not on target. And that's problematic because let's just say in a new world, there wasn't a defender on the line. That would have basically been him missing an open goal, which is not great.
Not great for number 9, but anyway, I mean,
he got his just desserts. Because he's fucked. So
a few minutes later, he's trying to break and his hamstrings popped. So it was one of that. It was one of those hamstrings. One of those injuries that just it goes and everyone's like, oh right, okay, there's 8 to 10 weeks. There's no like two ways about it.
The clip of bootlegger. Well, you just knew that was going to happen, didn't you? It was inevitable. Literally everyone in the way and looking around at each other, just like, for fuck's sake. I'm pretty sure one of us, it might have been me, but one of us said in the pod the last couple of weeks, like, you just know one of the others is going to get injured. You know what I mean? Like, it was just inevitable. It was just so inevitable that one of these guys was going to get injured.
Yeah.
But I can see in the notes you've got a sense of optimism. Don't worry, mate, because Elias Kachunga is a 9.5, okay?
Don't worry about it. I don't know what you're worried about.
Because we got Kachunga now. So
our options now at the moment, I mean, first of all, Harris did say that Apare's apparently said that it didn't feel like it had popped, so it might just be a strain, but it's going to be a few weeks, of course, isn't it? You don't a hamstring of any level. But we're now left with Kouassi, Lavery, and obviously Kachunga is a 9.5 famously, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Are you feeling like we're suddenly a bit weak up top? I want to talk about Kouassi after this in a good way, but generally stocked. How does that feel for you?
We got to cross the word suddenly out. We were weak. We were departmentally weak before the game started. And we can just underline the word weak once, and then when Lavery's hamstrings go, you can just fucking burn the building down, if you know what I mean. Because they took a gamble anyway, I think, in that they're gambling on the fact that they expect Lavery to be fit for, let's say, 30 games, which I feel, again, I'm no expert. I just think there isn't a track record that really backs that up definitively in any good way at all. Kouassi also has a history of hamstring problem. I'm not zoning in on hamstring as an actual issue, but Kouassi has a history of hamstring problem as well. Apare, I don't think has an injury record, but he does now, if you know what I mean. So it's like, I just think we have been saying it, and not exclusive to us, a lot of people have been saying it for weeks and months. Like, we just need another striker in that unit, just need another option. I know Harris, I can't remember which, I think it was the pre-match or post-match recently. I think it was the one after the transfer window closed, the pre-match presser said any team that gets 2 injuries in the same area of the pitch is going to be in trouble. We've not got 2 injuries here. We've got 1, and we really are in trouble already, if that makes sense, in my opinion. Even just in workload terms, this means either Kouassi is going to be overworked next few weeks, and he hasn't played tons of like regular week in, week out first team football, or Lavery is going to be overexposed to more football than you probably want him to be. Because I really feel like this year, the plan with Lavery is going to be not quite on like the Barry core level, but it's going to be like, use him if we need to use him. Like, I just don't sense he's going to start many games. I've just got a feeling, I could be totally wrong, and I hope I'm wrong, because it'll be really positive for us if he is just fit for the rest of the season and starting games and scoring goals. Just got a weird feeling they're going to protect him quite a lot, use him quite sparingly, use him when we need him. So mostly coming off the bench in situations where we need to try and do something attacking wise or change, the momentum or dynamic of the game. So I just can't see a good outcome from not having another striker in the unit. And there's no suddenly about it, if you know what I mean. Obviously, it's a shame what's happened with Apare. That's an unfortunate. Any non-contact injury in football is always bad news, if you know what I mean. It never looks good. Again, onto the positives, we did really well, to be fair, to respond. Like, I thought Kouassi actually put in a really good performance. We've got to ignore the last minute of the game for that, if you know what I mean, unfortunately. But I thought he, like he has been the last few weeks, I've actually been saying, particularly after the Oldham game, my feeling was like, I think Kouassi maybe should be pushing for a start over Apare. Apare has been a little bit quieter. And I think Kouassi, in terms of his physicality, just holds the ball up a bit more. The ball just seems to stick to Kouassi a bit more than it does to Apare. He's quite a strong bloke, right? He looks pretty He looks pretty solid. So they're both industrious. They both work very hard. They're actually quite similar in that makeup. I just think Kouassi, yeah, it's just a bit more of a point at the top of your attacking unit to hold onto the ball. And if we're going with this sort of three attacking midfielders behind a striker, they need to be able to hold the ball up. That's maybe why we're seeing a bit more coming out of Kai and Brophy and the guys sort of in behind Kouassi, is that Kouassi is actually able more readily to hold the ball up well. So
and you could see that a lot second half. Like Eastwood's kicks were going up, straight up to Kouassi every time, and he had a much better success rate of keeping hold of the ball than Apre did.
Stuff was just happening, wasn't it? Do you remember the one? I think Eastwood kicked it out of his hands. I literally cheered this. I was like, goal. Kouassi when he chested it. It's like an 80-yard goal kick coming down with fucking snow on it. And Kouassi just literally just looked so smooth. I was like, damn, that's so good. If you know what I mean.
It's funny, they do have their similarities, but I do think in terms of the real strengths in their games, they're slightly different, Apre and Kouassi. Like Apre, you see the strength in him, exactly the chance we just spoke about when he's nabbed the ball before the keeper. That's something that he's really good at. We've seen it a couple of times. Kouassi does feel a bit more like maybe he suits the system slightly better in terms of things sticking to him. And as you mentioned, it's interesting them two playing together. I think that's actually quite complementary. But just to go back again a step to Kouassi, Lavery, Kachunga as our options, Lavery isn't that player. Lavery's a very different type of striker. So Lavery playing up top by himself, I'm not sure how often we'll see that. So to take your point, maybe the way they're planning this is you've got these profiles where you've got Kouassi or Apre who can play up top by themselves, and then or potentially with a Lavery or a 9.5 in Kachunga. Yeah. But to say that if Kouassi is the next one that goes, if his loan was cut short at Salford last year for a hamstring issue. That kept him out for about 3 months. If he's the one that goes, that's the panic for me, because I'm expecting Lavery to go anyway. And I just think the way that Harris wants to play, the reason I think we were so weak anyway, and like you say, it's now been underlined, is because of the context in which Harris plays. And it still surprised me that we didn't go and get someone of the profile of Harry Smith, for example, a really tall, big target man. Kouassi's the closest we've got to that, which is why I actually think, he played really well yesterday, and I think we'll see him be an important player the next couple of weeks. And you mentioned he had a shout at starting anyway, but he kind of really backed that up. Do you want to talk about the chance, though? Because live, I was very...
Tom Walker's very insistent that he's missed what he's described as a sitter, which I think is extremely unfair. I mean, you lads thought you missed a sitter at Bristol Rovers as well, and I didn't. The
Bristol Rovers one, I think, is easier than this.
I'm going to die on this hill. The Bristol Rover one get a deflection right in front of him, so it's a very difficult chance. This one gets double deflection, right? The one at Grimsby. There's a guy who gets an early touch on the cross, which is taking it away. And then the second touch is crucial from the defender, because I actually think Kouassi's done. I think he's done everything you can do there. He's literally right there, if you know what I mean.
I do think the camera angle on this one is really uncomplimentary to him. Just literally the angle of the deflection is what I mean. You can't quite make out how much the deflection takes it away from him, but from the away end, you could see perfect.
Yeah, we had a really good angle on it, to be fair. Also, just one of those, again, it's those sliding doors, what if moments, because from the away end, there was just a moment where you thought, oh my God, that could just trickle in the bottom corner. It's going to set this away end on fire, if you know what I mean. So that was a proper moment, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think there's anything else he can do there. Genuinely, I sound like some kind of pro Kouassi, sound like his agent, if you know what I mean. But I just don't think there's more that he could have done there. I don't think you can anticipate double deflection, if you know what I mean. It's agonizing. He's so close. He's in the right place. He's kind of where you wanted to be. Again, and I don't think this play actually worked that way. The only thing you'd ever say was old school striker, the moment. Every pod I pretend I've got badges, but we know that I don't. Should he get in front of that guy? Should he be trying to get in front? Because if you're a striker, Shane Lavery's getting in front of that guy. If you know what I mean, he's trying to make that run. He's anticipating to get in front of the guy, not behind him. If you're behind the guy, sure, he can touch it and take it away from you. I'm not sure that quite really applies here, but I know a real poaching striker is looking to make that sort of diagonal run, get in front of the man and slot it,
Yeah.
Even Catch might have been looking to get in front of him if he was.
Well, that's what a 9.5 will do.
That is obviously what a natural 9.5 like Catch is going to do. So
we've got to talk about the referee a bit with the game. There's kind of two incidents here. I'm going to group them together one way or another because they're kind of similar a little bit. There was an off the ball incident just before half time. The Grimsby striker seemingly elbowing, making some sort of contact with Michael Morrison, who made a meal of it, I think we should say, but probably in a good gamesmanship sort of way. Ref gave a yellow. I'm not sure
Odd.
the rest. So, I mean, what's
But
the
this,
decision there?
yeah. I mean, both the instances are sort of the same in my mind. The
Yeah,
second one being the Gibbons is off the ball from our view in the away end. It looked pretty bad.
yeah.
To
From
be
literally
honest,
as I glanced at it, it looked like he just decked him on the floor.
it
Like
did
on
look
the
like he
floor,
just
he'd actually
lamped
punched
him.
him.
Yeah, and the home
Yeah.
fan reaction also sort of felt that way. But seemingly, I mean, for that one, the fourth official came on and was making like, we couldn't really see this properly, but was making like a hand gesture that suggested he pushed him. I think he pushed him in the face. So
Mm.
there's, in this day and age, that is sort of a red. The two instances I find both of them really strange, both of them resulting in a yellow card, I think is extremely odd. It's just an admission of failure by the ref and the linos that they don't know what the hell is going on. Because if it's an off ball, like take the first one, if that's an off ball incident, and it was very off ball, 30, 40 yards away from the play, and his suggestion is he maybe elbowed him or certainly connected with his, head, face, that's a red card. Like the fact they haven't seen it means you can't then give him a yellow card because you haven't seen it. And you're just trying to do what? Like appease someone by, oh yeah, yellow card. Didn't see it, but
I'd love to know what just the wording of like yellow card for what? Because if it's like
for what?
violent
Yeah.
conduct, then it's red. So
precisely,
what is it?
Precisely that. And I want to be super clear. I don't think it was a red at all. I don't think it was
No.
even a foul. I think it was probably Michael Morrison just like having it on a bit. I think they probably were next to each other and collided. And this guy, Cabia, the striker, seemed to be at the epicenter of a lot of controversy all day. So he's obviously one of those.
I think there's a lot more in. I think there's a lot more in the Gibbons one, though. I'll say that.
From my ignore. Let's just go retro and say we have no highlights, if you know what I mean. My eye test view of it would be the first one. No, nothing doing for me. It's worth a shout. Like, might as well. I don't know. Some people say don't try and get people sent off. I just think in this day and age, I'm afraid if you don't make a meal of some of these situations, then
correct.
There is no retribution. These League Two refs are shit. That ref, hopefully, was the worst ref we have all season because he completely stifled that football match as well. Even though he got in the way of what was a really good, entertaining football match, in my opinion. It felt like every set piece for either team, but particularly it felt like for us, that might just be my away fan bias. It felt like he's just going to give a free kick. Every time we had a corner, it was like, well, they're just going to get a free kick, aren't they? It's just like, why even take the set piece? Because he's just going to give them a free kick. Nothing's happening, but he's just going to give them a free kick anyway. So it's like...
There was one baffling one down our end, like a corner.
Yeah.
The ball comes in. The keeper's gone to punch it. He's just missed the punch or it's above him. But no one's complaining about anything. It's just like it's a normal situation that's happening. Nothing's happened in either respect. Not that we were even going to score, but it was just like the guy was so keen to get involved, and he did it for both sides. But I actually got a message from the Grimsby pod who we spoke to in the preview. And he said he's actually got a good view on the Gibbons thing as well. He said, first of all, the ref had lost the game anyway. He was stopping at every opportunity and breaking up any momentum for both sides, which obviously suited us more, which is true. So you can see the frustration if you're a Grimsby fan. We've been on the other end of that plenty of times. And he said, a mate of mine sits in the stand behind the dugout, and they could see that. You could clearly see that Gibbons punched/pushed Cabia. I mean, they're two different things, but still, in the back of the head when he was pinned to the ground, and that was after the drag down. The fourth official apparently told Artel, their manager, that Gibbons was trying to push down on the floor to get up. I gotta say, that's a crazy reading of the situation, because even from the away end, you could see that it was nothing to do with that.
Yeah, this is like when players are standing up from a 50-50 and they sort of stamp on their opponents. Like, oh, well, he was just getting back up, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Would never happen naturally, but somehow. So I honestly, I think assessing those two incidents, I think we're probably the luckier side in terms of how that's gone down, particularly as we realised in the away end. The fact they've booked Gibbons for this means he can't be retrospectively banned because the rules are fucking stupid in that regard. So
it was so funny how
seen it, which means it goes in the match report, which means he can't get a retrospective red, which is hilarious. And the other thing we were feasting on anyway, and was the home fan reaction. I do think that was the funniest part of the day was Gibbons getting a yellow card and just watching this absolute pandemonium break out in the home sections.
And there was one other brilliant part of that, which was just how far away Gibbons walked from the referee.
Oh yeah, after the incident, he literally went off to like the corner flag.
Just sort of like chilling, like
here, yeah.
Here. Well, me, no.
But yeah, I think on the balance of those two, we got a bit lucky. I thought he was a poor referee in general, just in terms of, I would agree with that Grimsby fan viewpoint, to be honest. I don't know that it worked for or against one of the other teams deliberately. I just think he just was very pernickety, very fussy, seemed to want to stop the game continuously, where my sort of belief with these refs, they should be trying to let the game flow as much as possible within the realms of what's like reasonable, basically. So yeah, not great, but if we get relegated to League Two, then we've got to endure the standard of refereeing that comes with that.
Yeah, definitely. Second half in general, I mean, obviously that happens around the 70th minute, something like that.
I think so, yeah.
In general, sort of Grimsby obviously stepped it up a little bit. They did have a couple of chances as one flashed across goal.
Yeah, that felt from, because we were away and you're at the offset of the pitch, you don't have a fantastic perspective. That felt awful.
Yeah, that was
because
horrible.
The ball was going across the box. It felt like for a while.
Yeah.
It's like, what is happening here? No, look, I mean, the thing is, we defended really resolutely. They're one of the best teams in the division, one of the highest scoring teams in the division. Already scalped Man United this season. They beat MK. So it's like they were bound to have some moments. I really think we still stifled them pretty well. Like, whilst they did have, that spell around the Gibbons incident, sort of a 20-minute period, they really were putting some pressure on. I didn't feel like they were creating a lot with it. It wasn't like, oh my God, how are we still winning this game? It was more like we've got a bit lucky with that flash chance, but they're still not creating loads, if you know what I mean. And again, this is where CUFC was being a really good outlet. You and I were down in that corner in the Trivial Pursuit, if you know what I mean, in the general knowledge zone. But we had a great angle, I guess, to see CUFC's work. Everyone in the away end did. And yeah, he was just sort of sticking to him, and he was really helping us sort of relieve some of that pressure, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Just all round, I thought we defended really well as a unit, really took all the creativity out of Grimsby. So all of that was just really pleasing, if you know what I mean.
Should we talk about Danny Mayer's long throw as well?
I was a bit, well, I was going to say up and down. That's obviously all throw-ins, really, up and down in their own respect. That's kind of how they go, right?
The only point I was going to make, obviously, you mentioned it. I think it was mentioned after the Oldham game. He's got a rocket of a throw, right? Even if maybe in the second half it wasn't quite as like threatening as even in the little time we've seen it could be. Your point about Kwasi is really valid, because it felt like we were constantly managing to win ourselves set pieces, even in the latter half of the game, because of A, Kwasi's build-up, and then B, even if we're not winning a corner or free kick, you're winning a throw sort of level with the box and onwards, and with Mayer's potential, from the throw, you can get centre-half forward. Maybe we weren't doing it in the last 5 minutes, sure, but it felt like we always had this outlet, whether it was Kwasi or then the ability to create a dangerous moment from a throw. So I think that's a real.
Yeah. The thing is, the throw is great. So he's got a good, for anyone who hasn't seen it yet, it is good. It's quite low and flat, which is like, for me, definitively what makes a long throw actually dangerous. Because with respect to some of the predecessors, or Gibbons, to be fair, or George Williams, those floaty long throws that aren't actually that long are very easy to defend, because coming onto a defender, there's not a lot of pace on that ball to work with. Whereas Mayers are a bit more flat, not quite in the Rory Delap genre, but a step down from Roy Delap. So that level of angle anyway, which is really dangerous. I think something I was saying to you in the away end, though, I don't understand how we're attacking these throws, because actually I felt like we didn't convert any of those long throws into any meaningful opportunity at all. And the reason for that, as I felt like they were still quite easy to defend, because we were pushing everyone forward, which is what you want to see, including centre backs. They're getting stuck under the ball. Like, when you're attacking a corner, if it equated to a corner or a free kick, outside the 18-yard box, just don't think you set up like in and around the 6-yard box static, trying to win like little flick-ons. Because again, defender, ball coming onto defender, much easier to defend than it is for striker to win a flick. I just feel like with those, we need to, we've been so good with set pieces this year. Like, we need to treat those equally like set pieces, and let's see some runners, even if we have a couple of routines, one of them is like start everyone outside the box and then have everyone on the run, and just like you would attack a corner, like if someone's going near post, back post, whatever, like just have a bit of creativity and try some different stuff. Because my feeling is it's a great weapon to have in the arsenal, but it's not going to amount to anything with the way that we're using it at the moment. And I feel like it could be a lot more potent. I'm not saying do that every time. I'm just saying have a few different ways that can look. If you know what I mean. I also remember old school, I can't remember who, this must be years back with United, we had a few other long throwers over our time. But every now and then they would also just take a short one and just swing a cross in instead. You know, if you have a big guy at the back post, it's like set up for a long throw, someone peels off, hook a big high ball towards the back post and have that defender or whoever it is, you know, big bloke attack the ball from the back post and try that. But my point is, you know, classic no badges, Caspell, is work on it, you know. Let's have a few different looks. Like Harris has done great with our set pieces so far, and we've got a really good return already. We've probably scored from more set pieces this season than we may have done in like entire 5-year spells. So it's like, now let's make the long throws a real like weapon. Because again, yesterday could have been a totally different outcome if we, you know, pick them apart with a long throw routine and we go 2-0, then it's job done.
I guess it's just don't be one dimensional in those scenarios, right? Don't just constantly, that it's much easier to defend against something if you know it's coming than if you don't, and give them.
Yeah, is it only going to work if we have, you know, this 6'5" target man striker, and it's like they know it's happening, but there's nothing, they can't defend it because the guy's too big, and they're going to be climbing over. He might win a penalty, or he's definitely going to win a flick on or do something. We just don't have that. Like Kouassi's good, not great in the air. So we just don't really, in my view, have quite the personnel to make it work. Also, this is like a bugbear of mine. If you've got a good long thrower, just get him doing it from both sides of the pitch as well. Like, it's fine to get him to switch over, especially obviously less so. Yesterday we were chasing the game, so you might have wanted the shape, and the shape was very good for us. And maybe that's the thinking. But I just think if you get a throw in within 30 yards, 20 yards of the box, and you have that weapon, just use it. Like, it's fine. He'll get back. Like, he'll make it back across, or people can patch over. Someone can just cover over for him. Like, make that such a weapon that you just can't, you know, you just don't want to have not a long throw every time you're up there, in my opinion. So again, it's not really a criticism. I just think
something to work on.
Like to see more variety in those long throw routines. It's a really good long throw that he's got. So let's make the most of it.
Yeah, I agree. We better talk about the sort of late sucker punch then.
Oh fuck yeah, we've done so well. We've been like 45 minutes. We just haven't had to talk about this yet.
Ref involved again. I'm not a big fan of sort of going back a lot of steps.
I said that after. I don't like
the principle idea. Of that is it's bad, because you can just keep going back and back and back. Right?
It's like nth degree argument. Yeah, if you know what I mean.
But
it's like,
having said
keep
that,
going back.
It's a dive. Like,
so it's weird in my opinion. So I watched it back actually, like on the 10-minute CUFC TV highlights. Great stuff. Excellent. By the way, great stuff. Never forget those 10-minute highlights. You can slow it down to 0.25 speed, so you can turn them into 40-minute highlights if you really want. Just basically what I did this morning, because I wanted to watch back a couple of these incidents in, you know, slow-mo, normal speed. I do think Brophy fouls him, and I know that's controversial because I think he pulls his arm. He pulls his arm, which is, if you're going to be technical, it's the sort of foul that you never see given around the penalty area, and certainly not as a penalty. But if you did it on the halfway line, you'd almost certainly see it given as a foul every time. But then I agree with you completely. I think the guy just dives.
Yeah,
I think he's expecting Brophy to clip him because he's got his body the wrong side. And again, if you want to be super critical, then maybe Brophy's got to do a bit more to like screen him a bit more. You know, don't let this guy get past you. Equally, 90th minute of the game, a very big shift has been put in. It's not unreasonable to think there'll be a bit of tiredness. But I'm with you. I don't like winding all the way back. You know, something will have happened before that we maybe agree or disagree, or someone might have given the ball away before the free kick that led to the cross, that led to the penalty, that led to the save, that led to the goal. Like, there's just too many steps removed. And like, same thing we said before. If you go and get your second goal in that game, it doesn't matter. Like, it's just, you're just not worried. So
I agree with you. The free kick, actually, I think we can find that middle ground, and I definitely agree with you. Friend of the pod, Campo, described it as it's probably a dive, but the ref was throbbing to give it, which I think was quite good.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's true.
He wasn't he? He just like
he was ready to. Yeah, he was ready to
anything.
I mean, he was giving. To be fair to the ref, I'll say it, he was giving that kind of shit
the other way
all day long. In every direction. There was no, wasn't, if that had been us at the other end, he would have made the same set of decisions. So,
something that wasn't controversial though was what Kylian Kouassi did about a minute later. Sam Smith, no, sorry, S. Smith, but I'm assuming not Sam Smith or that Sam Smith.
What, the singer?
Has sent in, God, let's steer you away from that topic, Jesus. He's asked, is that the stupidest pen to give away ever? What do you make to it? I mean, it's it feels to me like a young striker defending his own box in the 96th minute takes a bad touch, panics, doesn't need to. And you made a good point again. Lots of screenshots this morning. It's their centre back with the ball when Kwasi fouls him, like going away from goal. It's like quite a simple situation to just stand up to him. He's not going anywhere.
This is how much of a loser I am, by the way, just in case anyone was in any doubt, is that I then went to trawl that centre back. First, I wanted to know if he's left or right footed. He is left footed, to be fair.
Okay, fine.
So that does add to the jeopardy in Kwasi's, mental model that I'm sure he ran prior to diving quickly in and fucking swiping the guy completely, going away from goal. And he has scored before with his foot, because I thought there was a world where that might be his first like professional goal with his foot. My point though is on the screen grabs or when you watch it back, the guy is going away from goal, like he's leaving the 6-yard box sideways. Job is there, Eastwood is also there. There's a lot of reasons to not do what Kwasi has done. And I think your read on this is totally accurate. I think his panic, he's created his panic for himself by taking what he perceives to be a not great touch in the box, which has allowed one of their other players just to get a little toe poke on it, which has surprised Kwasi, because you can see the guy, it kind of comes from his blind side. And it's just a complete like head loss. I've called it a brain fade here.
Yeah.
He's just unfortunately made a mistake, hasn't he? Because there's no world where, and fair play to the centre mate, he's done really well, I think, to put his body in the way, because I think he knew he was done in terms of like chance creation. Gets his body entirely in the way, which makes it a certain foul. Like from the away end, we were like, that's stone wall. I've seen the highlights back and I'm like, this absolutely stone wall, if you know what I mean. But I think you're right. Kwasi's just kind of panicked because he's made a mistake, which is such a shame, really. It's just all of it's just so brutal for him, for us, for all of us, for the whole squad and the whole team who played so well and defended so doggedly, for Harris, literally for everybody. And then I think for him,
it gets extra brutal because then Eastwood actually saves the pen.
Yeah.
So it's like even the next step, you saved it. I'm not going to go anywhere near, personally, I don't know what you think, I'm not going to go anywhere near criticising Eastwood for not...
No, you can't criticise any keeper for saving a penalty. So no, and again, people seem pretty... Eastwood seems to have fallen slightly off this agenda, but people seem ready for Eastwood also to not succeed. No, he saved a penalty. Like, I think it's a weird one that he's quite close to his body and he's gone for more of a full dive, and that's what's led to the ball coming back into play rather than being pushed away. I think it's quite close to his... he's almost over-dived it, which is fine because he got to, as a keeper, decide. Few people on platforms saying that they felt like Grimsby players were in the box. Again, I still framed it. They're all in the box. So are ours, so are theirs. The guy who scored might be, but all of ours are as well. So there's nothing doing there. It's a definite penalty.
Look, the ball could have landed like a yard further to the right, and it's Michael Morrison hooking it away instead of that fella, Michael Morrison, who has also probably encroached in the box. I don't know if it is Morrison, but you see what I'm trying to say. It's like just one of those. It's just falling at his feet. Just a little interesting statistical thing. Grimsby in all competitions this year have been already awarded 6 penalties. They've only scored 2 of them directly. Cabby has taken 5 of those and scored the 2. So his conversion rate is actually terrible. Not that I don't take anything away from Eastwood. I'm just saying, like, it's an interesting thing with Grimsby that their penalty conversion rate is clearly terrible. But
yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. I guess from their perspective, so far this season they've taken a lot of penalties and they've scored the ones that probably counted the most for them. So
and they're winning a lot of penalties, which is probably always a good thing in terms of getting into the box and being dangerous in the box. So
the whole situation was just sad and unfortunate. If you know what I mean. We just deserved a bit better as a team. I think we deserved the 3. Kwasi didn't deserve that for his performance. So even though he played really well, it's always going to have a little asterisk next to it, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Eastwood got unlucky, saved the penalty. It's just football, isn't it? Sometimes, like, again, in the away, and there was a bit of a celebration when he saved it. I didn't even move. I was like, that ball's like rolling. That ball's like on the penalty spot again, or at best, or on the edge of the 6-yard box. I didn't feel good at all. It's too much in one life to see us save 2 really important penalties up there. So I'll always have seeing Chris Maxwell save that penalty in that game that sent us 8 points clear at the top of the conference. So it's just football, isn't it? It just happens. I feel really bad for Kwasi, bad for myself as well, for you and for everyone. So it's just like, I don't know, get up with it and move on. Kwasi's almost certainly going to be starting our next game. And and we
Yeah,
just
he's
need
just
to
got to
get
learn from it. That's it. Just
yeah,
learn
just
from the
screen him
moment.
next time. Mate. Just don't dive in. That's what you
Yeah.
scream all the time, right? It's like, don't dive in. Why on earth would you dive in there when the guy? There's just no need to dive in
It's so
anyway.
stupid, actually,
Basically,
isn't it?
it's really when I'm never watching it back again. I don't think
No.
because I've once was enough. But yeah, just don't dive in. Just show the guy. And look, if he somehow scores, like he trickles one through you and Job and Eastwood on Eastwood's near post, which shouldn't happen. I guess you just accept it, right? Like,
and what people wouldn't be saying in that scenario is, "Oh, what Kawasi should have done is actually dived in and
should
like
have
made
mullered him.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway,
Yeah.
look, that's the end of that. I'm just going to touch on some accounts of a altercation in the tunnel after the game in which Harris was involved. Um, Obviously, don't want to comment on it too much. Allegedly threw something at Cabio. We don't know what that
When
was
you
or
say
what it
through
is.
something, do you mean like a
Some people have said a
skepasti or
bottle.
a punch?
Well, some people have said a water bottle. Some people have said a punch. There's not really a lot of reporting on it from either club. I don't think anything will come of it. Personally, I feel like it's just a full-blooded football match that boiled over. I think that the Gibbons incident clearly got to. I mean, it raised the temperature in the stands quite a bit for the rest of the game, and obviously when they scored there was a pretty big celebration, and I think one of their lads ran up to Gibbons and sort of give him a bit in his face. Again, it's fine, I think that's football. It's great. That's what makes it great. So I think it just sort of added to what was, as we said right at the start, a really engaging game, and we'll see what comes of it later on. But looking ahead, Caspell, just a quick touch. We've obviously got a preview show coming out Thursday to look ahead to Fleetwood, which is early kick. Worth reminding everyone.
Reminder.
Yeah, because
I just watch it on Sky Sports.
Correct, yeah.
Or come watch the game,
And then go and get a skepasti at the Old Spring afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
Lovely. Not applicable asked us on X. He said, "Was that very? Are we? Well, we're so very mid-table, aren't we?" I just wanted to sort of looking ahead to the next 4 or 5 games: Fleetwood at home, Tranmere away, Crawley at home, Shrewsbury away. Are you seeing a lot of opportunities there to pick up some points based on yesterday? We've been fairly positive and fairly effusive about how we played. If we can replicate that against, objectively, statistically worse sides, you'd think maybe this is actually an opportunity. Did yesterday show, Jordan mentioned it on the previous show, that if Grimsby away is the indicator, well, actually, we got an indication that we're potentially slightly better than the mid-table team that I'd expected us to be, and the first 7 games of the season sort of told me that we were.
Yeah, it's a presentable run of games. We've had quite a presentable start to the season, it feels like. But actually, an interesting point I think you might have made yesterday was that our away games so far this season have actually been quite hard, and our home games have been fine. Our away games, we're doing a pointed game, so it's like, that's fine. That's absolutely bang on. Like any playoff team, you would absolutely, over the course of the season, take 23 away points as a return. It's the home form we got to fix, right? It's the home form we got to sort out. We just need to make sure that we are like ruthlessly dispatching these teams that we should be. I would put Fleetwood on that slate. I know Fleetwood are mid-table, are sort of 1 or 2 places above us, I think. But that is a game you look at and you just think, we're just categorically, if we want, again, and this is the same thing we've been saying, if the expectation on the hope is to be a playoff contending team, then yeah, we've got to go and get it done. I think Tranmere away, you might look at, I think even if they're not in great form or whatever, is a hard place to go and do stuff. But you might have said that about Grimsby as well. No reason to think that we can't go there and do something quite similar to Grimsby, and we don't make a little mistake at the end and we get away with 3 points. Crawley at home, absolutely. Again, you're like, simply, they have picked up, obviously won their last 2 games at the time of recording, but again, you should look at that. I think it's very presentable. And there's Shrewsbury just on their arse, right? I just got to go there and do something. So yeah, I kind of agree with your optimism. I think you're looking at hopefully like 9-10 points from those games. Obviously 10 points means unbeaten, which I like the sound of. Slot a little 2-0 win over Fulham in the middle in the League Cup, and then you're all sorted, right?
Yeah. It's that simple.
And then obviously the clocks will change.
Exactly.
And then we're absolutely fucked, obviously. So, no, mate, that's the opportunities. I think same thing as always. Like if we played like we did yesterday, absolutely. I think all season long, we've now been waiting for a good home performance. Obviously, League Cup, Charlton was a good one. We need a good statement home win. And one of these 2 games needs to be it for me to suddenly, if we want to drink the Kool-Aid and feel like we could make the playoffs, then put Fleetwood away 3-0, or like a very compelling, convincing 2-0, where it's like goal on 35, goal on 60, no jeopardy, Fleetwood's XG below 0.5, just no dramas, like no stress, easy home game. I think that's what we're missing now on the deck of results. So hopefully one of those home games is it. And we string results together, because any playoff team is going to put sort of 2s and 3s and 4 runs unbeaten, repeatedly over the course of the season. So we should be looking at this set of games now and going, don't lose any of these. See if we can get 10 points or whatever, basically, and put ourselves in a really good position.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the if is exactly as you just said, if we can replicate that performance. And it's interesting, it's probably quite a good place to wrap up, to summarise that the sort of the dynamic of home and away games in general feels very different. You see Grimsby trying to struggle to break us down, and we've struggled to break teams down at home, but then away be able to be a bit more sort of expansive. And what we need to be able to do is find a way to create chances regularly at home, and those next 2 home games are like a good example to try and do that. And obviously Crawley will be missing Lofty, so I assume he can't play against us, surely.
I would not assume anything based on how we've done this in the past. And also, do we want him to start? Maybe
No, because he'll definitely score.
He definitely scored.
He'll definitely score. He will suddenly look like the best striker in the league, I guarantee you.
Okay. He's still our player, then that'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, let's wrap it up there. Great pod, really, really nice sort of extended one to chat through that. Felt nice and positive. I'll give a quick plug to the Coconut Tier. We've got loads going on over there. There's weekly written match previews for every game at the moment that Benji's putting together. Just looking at a few, they're really good. They're like a few data points you can look at before the game, so you've got something to
really
watch
nerd out.
They're good, but
you got to really nerd out from those numbers. They are good.
He translates them in a nice way, so you can just.
He does.
So he gives you the numbers, and then he goes, "Look out for X, Y, Z." So have a look. So they're going live on a Friday before every game. We've also got an interview with Louis Apre going live on Wednesday, which Freddie did last week.
That's aged well.
So that's great. Great timing there.
Louis, you excited to get a good run of games starting?
Yeah, it's going to be a great read, I'm sure. Also, Matt Ramsey's got a nice column about the League Cup coming up, and obviously the monthly Get Your Stats Right, where Ben summarises all the United stats for that month on the website. And on the pod, we've got an interview with a Fulham fan you might well have heard of if you're into your football podcast coming up. An extended version of that interview will be available for Coconut Tier subscribers. So thanks very much, Caspell. That's the end of your 6 pod run. I think it's Jordan Tom on Thursday. Finally, a bit of a variety of voices.
I got drafted into a couple of these, so I could just get drafted in again by public demand. Get him in.
Something like that.